Okay. Um, all right. So I think we are live now. It's good to be here. Hello, everyone. Uh, I guess like everyone here listening. So yeah, hello everyone and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are joining from. By the way, like my camera is at the moment not working, but you guys probably see the Buildathon page. So I'm Moz from Akindo, and I'm very happy to be your moderator for today's Midnight Buildathon online workshop. Thank you for joining us. Today's session is designed to help builders understand Midnight, explore privacy-first product opportunities, and learn how to take part in the Midnight Buildathon. So, you know that privacy is becoming one of the most important design challenges in Web3, and blockchain have traditionally emphasized transparency and public verifiability. That is powerful, but many real-world applications also need confidentially protected user data and the ability to disclose only what is necessary. So yeah, during today's workshop, we will hear how Midnight approaches programmable privacy and selective disclosure and the practical experience of building privacy-first applications. So before we introduce our speakers, let me briefly explain the Midnight Buildathon. So this is structured multi-way builder program created to help teams build, submit progress, receive feedback, and continue improving their projects over time, rather than treating the buildathon as a one-time submission. And the program encourages team to learn through iterations and return with stronger work each way. So this event listening describes grant opportunities across multiple waves, community visibility, and potential ecosystem showcase opportunities. So the event is presented as a $12,500 grant opportunity. So please check the official Buildathon page. Yeah, you can see for the final grant structures, eligibility, and deadlines. So if you're working on identity, credentials, AI, and sensitive data, privacy, finance, governance, enterprises workflows, infrastructures, or another use cases where privacy is meaningful, this workshop is a great place to begin. All right, so we are delighted to be joined today by three members of the Midnight Foundation team. Jonathan Albert, Developer Relations, and Taro Kimura, Japan Country Managers, and Junior Kato, Japan Sales and BD. They will share updates from the Midnight ecosystem, explain the technologies and design principles builders can use, discuss the kind of products Midnight is interested in supporting, and walk us through the opportunities available in the build zone. So we will also have a live Q&A at the end. So please post your questions in chat throughout the session. We will try to address as many as possible. All right, Jonathan, Taro Jr., thank you very much for joining us
Thank you.
today. Yep. And
Thank you.
we are excited to learn more about Midnight and the opportunities for builders. Are you ready?
Absolutely. Yes,
All
absolutely.
right.
Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Mm,
Awesome.
mm.
Yeah, great. The stage is yours.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Taro. I am the country manager from Midnight Foundation Japan, and my role here in Midnight is to lead adoption, to work with the community and the developers that will be engaged with Midnight, as well as our privacy technology that we're bringing out to this world. So very excited about being able to engage with the audience today, as well as a larger audience that will be looking at this maybe down the road in a couple of days more, to learn a little bit more about what we're doing. I think a lot of people have started to see us a little bit more out in the media, started to see what Charles is envisioning and the world that he's envisioning for us as well, starting from early this year all the way up to where we are right now. And so this has been a very exciting journey for us, and we are really in the middle of a journey and a transformation within this, what we're calling the blockchain technology piece, of where we're seeing the need for privacy to enable and unlock multiple different types of use cases. So I'm very excited about this opportunity to engage with just a larger audience of developers to be able to see what can be brought to life through this engagement with everybody. And I know that I know the team at Akindo very, very well. I know that the reach that they have across the Asia Pacific region as well, the worldwide regions as well. So this wasn't a long time discussion that we've had with them, and we wanted to engage strongly with Akindo to make sure that we are talking and building together with the right team. And so very excited. Just a little bit about what we are doing here in Japan and the Asia Pacific region is, a little bit more is we are in the midst of really working with institutions as well as developers with regards to unlocking multiple different use cases within this privacy sector of blockchain. I think people have now started to really wake up to the understanding of the need for privacy. And what I would love to challenge everybody on this call that's listening to this call is be super creative in challenging maybe us with ideas around how privacy could actually be used. We're not always right. You could be absolutely right with the way you're implementing and using privacy, and we would love and welcome new, very interesting ideas. And if you look at this buildathon that we've done this time, it's quite generic with regards to what we are asking with regards to the build. And we have intentionally put it that way. And the reason why is because we want to see what kind of ideas that are out there. Real ideas, real deployable products that's out there using Midnight's technology. And so this is a very exciting opportunity for us and an exciting opportunity for you to work with us to see what we can do to bring to life your ideas, your technology to the forefront. And so once again, I just want to say thank you again for watching. Thank you for showing your interest. We have seen, I think, close to 400 people apply to this overall buildathon, which is absolutely amazing. And we would love to have you guys continue to work with us, reiterate, and be able to, go through this 3 months process of, building out something extremely new with the context of privacy. So without ado, I do want to introduce Jay to the team. He is the guy with regards to everything technical for us. He's going to help you around the build, the ask, the Q&As, all that and stuff. So Jay, over to you. Really appreciate for you to be, this is a one team effort for us. And so really appreciate you being on here and handing it off to you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for welcoming me on the call. I am super excited to be here to talk with you all, to learn more about Japan as I explore, this kind of adventure together, to see what you all build. Because, as people are like testing things out, working on their projects, you never really know what people are working on. So I'm excited to get started. I go by Jay. I'm a DevRel engineer at the Midnight Foundation. I am generally here helping people with their code, kind of updating our docs, tutorials, going through hackathon kickoffs, all of these kind of review things. And even if you just want to ideate with me, brainstorm, I love these kind of activities. So feel free to always reach out, post on our Discord, our dev chats. There's a strong community there. So yeah, I'm excited to meet you all. I'm excited to kick this off. I heard you kind of go silent, Tara, but I think you just muted your mic, so I want to make sure we're all good. And if we're good, I can kick off into our slides. Unless, Junya, would you like to say something?
Yes, so hello everyone. So my name is Junya. So I'm in charge of BD and sales in Japan. So actually, so my English isn't so great, but I'm I'm very looking forward to seeing your new use cases. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. I think, Tara, now I can kind of take it off with the hackathon, the buildathon kickoff. Okay, great.
Let's do
So
it.
I should be sharing my screen. Let me know if you can see this. Can the audience see my screen right now?
Hold on a second.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I think.
All right, let me try resharing it. Give me 1 second. I think
There
we're
we
good
go.
now, right? Okay,
good.
Yeah,
awesome.
perfect.
All right.
Well, thank you all. As I mentioned, I go by Jay. I'm a DevRel engineer at the Midnight Foundation, and I am excited to kick off this build-a-thon with you all. So let's get right into it. Today we'll cover what is Midnight, how does Midnight work, what are some use cases that you can get involved in. I'll cover some of the use cases we've already seen in the past hackathons, ones that went really well. I'll show you how to get started from kind of discovering what Midnight is to executing as fast as possible. And I think you'll all be pleasantly surprised by how fast you can execute using our tools. Then I'll go over some of the core concepts that you'll need to understand while you're going through the build process, while you're going through your code, you're reviewing. Talk about the build-a-thon expectations with Taro. I'll hand it off back then, and then we'll welcome you all to Midnight. So let's jump right into it. So first, what is Midnight? For me, I look at Midnight as two different kind of things, right? So first, it's the blockchain. So as you can see here, we're the next generation blockchain for programmable privacy for Web3. And we hope to be the privacy layer for all of Web3. And I mean Ethereum, Cardano, you name the network, we want to be the privacy layer for all of Web3. So that's the network side. And that is where we process transactions, where we have kind of this governance process and all of these updates to the network. So that's the network side. And now there's the Midnight community on this right side. So the Midnight community is all of you. It's everyone here on this call. There's our elite members. There's the people in their Discord community. It's everyone building together who is excited about this mission of privacy and protecting people's data online while also enabling them to interact on blockchains in the public. So we have the network, which facilitates all the transactions where we're all here to build on. But then we also have the community, which you're all a part of now, which you can explore ideas and build with each other. So I wanted to bring that up because in some contexts, depending on the technology you're working on, it's not that complicated. You don't have a foundation. You don't have the blockchain kind of separate communities and trying to work with them. So I think it's important to understand this distinction and what you're building with and who you're building with. So let's get into Midnight dApps. I got the sense that a lot of people on this call are already pretty familiar with blockchain technologies in general. Some of you are maybe building on Ethereum, Solana, all these other networks. So I don't feel the need to emphasize all the issues with public blockchains, but as you know, the issue with public blockchains is that all of your data is publicly online. Anyone can see your wallets. They can see kind of where you've been if you've checked in with physical NFTs. They can check what your network is. They can have all this data behind you. And not only poses a security risk for you as an individual, but it poses a security risk for organizations that maintain this data. Maybe they're storing it in a database. So that makes them kind of susceptible to hacks, right? There's an opportunity for people to go in, steal that data, or maybe there's an opportunity for employees to mishandle that data, get hacked, maybe social engineered to give up some data. So that's kind of the issue with traditional kind of applications. But then when you go into blockchains, it's not about handling the data. It's about some of the data being public that you don't necessarily want to be in public. So now the difference here with Midnight dApps is that we thought, how can we build a network where we keep all of your sensitive private data with you? You don't share it unless you explicitly say you want to share that with people. Everything is private by default. And then we only share the information that you want. So here, the way the apps work on Midnight is all of your data stays on your device, whether that's your phone, your laptop, all of your data stays with you rather than you uploading all of your information to clouds. So within that private data, what we do is we generate proofs. So using mathematical proofs, we basically determine, okay, is this information kind of truthful? Is it something that's shielded? It's something that needs to be kept private. And using those mathematical proofs, we're able to kind of separate your financial transactions from your personal private data. So we can have something where you are maybe updating an application in private, but you're not actually revealing those updates to a public network like Ethereum. But then you're also able to transact in public with an unshielded token called Night. So you're able to still meet these compliance obligations if you're an institution, an organization that needs to report some of your finances. So all of your data stays local, and then we generate proofs based on your local data. So rather than passing over that data, what we prove are things like, what are your net worth without revealing it? What is your age, or are you above a certain age without revealing, let's say, your address that comes along with your ID, or any other identifying information other than proving the fact, are you over a certain age? So the difference between us and a lot of other applications is your data stays on your device. We never pass it over to, let's say, a centralized server. We generate proofs, kind of facts about you, and then we use those proofs to enable you to transact on our network. So that's basically the main difference between Midnight dApps and other applications. Now, how does it work? So first, you have your contracts on one side. So our programming language is called Compact, and that's something you'll need to get into once you start hacking. Our programming language is very similar to TypeScript. So if you're familiar with TypeScript, basically whatever you're working on your front end, it'll look fairly similar for your back end as well. So when you're writing your application, you're writing it in Compact. You have to download our Compact compiler, make sure you have that installed. And then your front end application, of course, is written in TypeScript. So you have your dApp layer here. And then once you want to interact with the network, you are interacting with an extension on your browser. So if you're familiar with EVM, that's like MetaMask. But in our case, there are 3 different wallets that I'll show you in a bit. So you can use Lace, 1AM, and Giro. Those are our wallet providers. But your application basically connects to the wallet. It generates those proofs that you need. So you need to run a local server that's kind of labeled down here. So it takes your private data, generates the proof, then batches it with a transaction, and then submits it to the network. And that's these details here. Then it gets pushed over to the nodes. The nodes kind of do their process of kind of accepting transactions, and then it gets published onto the network. And that's generally the major components you'll have to think through in your application. Is your front end for TypeScript, your Compact contracts for your back end. They'll be both in your application, interacting with a wallet or an account, and then that gets all published and bundled onto the network. So let's talk about some use cases. So we've seen a lot of interesting things come up over the past few months as people are exploring the technology and we get more mature ourselves. So identity is a major one. And what we've been realizing is that identity is playing more of a major role, particularly with AI. So we are seeing more people come up with use cases of, let's say, identifying an agent and being able to give access to, let's say, certain facts about yourself to that agent without revealing private information. So I've seen like a lot of startups, even like on X and stuff, some of these big AI companies are encouraging you to do things like, hey, share your medical information and ask its information, facts, ask it for feedback on your medical information. Those are things you normally don't want to share for very obvious reasons, historical, for medical reasons, for personal reasons. You don't want to share that data. So there's a lot of opportunities for creating identities for agents as they're on the kind of rise, for them to engage with each other, transact with based on your private data, but without revealing it. So there's a lot of interesting things within identity, within AI, and I encourage you to take a look at that all. Now in finance, there's obviously, blockchains, they're processing financial transactions. So there's a lot of opportunity here, from making things more seamless for transactions to DeFi applications that didn't really exist in the past. Things where like you're proving that you have, let's say, a certain reputation privately, or that you have a certain net worth, maybe in a few different platforms, and you want to prove that before you engage in a transaction, but you don't want the general public to know maybe you have a significant amount of money in your wallets. So you can create these applications where a lot of your data is private, but then it enables you to process financial transactions on the network, on public, based on that private data. So I kind of already touched on the healthcare piece with the AI agents, but we are seeing a ton of different interesting ideas beyond agents. So one of the ideas that came out of the previous hackathon was this concept where you can opt in for medical research. There's plenty of institutions that are looking for patients that have a particular, let's say, disease or problem, so that they can run, medical trials, things like that, maybe research studies on these patients. But you don't necessarily want the patient to hand over their data to those institutions for legal reasons, but also for privacy reasons. So what we saw in the last hackathon was a team created an app where you can discover these different surveys or research groups. You can opt into them, and then you can selectively disclose a fact about yourself so that you can get paid for that research group. So there's some cool kind of marketplaces and interesting things that are springing up in the healthcare side once you can deal with healthcare data in public without revealing the underlying data. That opens up an interesting opportunity. And then lastly, gaming. I think gaming to me is one of the more fascinating pieces of all of this, because from my perspective, Web3 gaming, and for our gaming in particular, it's about removing the boundaries of your screen, right? And if you want to take a really good look at this, I encourage you all to take a look at Midnight City, which is one of our premier applications on the network, where you can launch agents, you can have them process transactions, interact with each other, and right now it's just a city that's with agents that's within kind of your screen, but there's no reason why those agents can't do something like go off to a decentralized exchange and swap one asset for another on your behalf. So that is kind of breaking them out of this agent world that's digital on your screen to be able to transact within the Web3 space kind of on their own, acting as an agent on your behalf without revealing your private data. And we're starting to see these ideas, and we have working prototypes, like I mentioned, for Midnight City, where you can go into the city right now, start testing it, get involved, meet other people in the community. So you can see that that's kind of another major use case for our network. So there's kind of these big categories that we're covering, and you'll go through it more as you go through the Buildathon. But I just wanted to highlight some few projects that I thought were fascinating personally and that we've come into recently. So now let's talk about getting started as fast as possible. So you understand what Midnight is. Kind of we're focusing on privacy. We want to be the privacy layer of all of Web3. For blockchains, we're processing transactions, faster than ever before, and we're settling almost instantly. We're enabling people to transact on these public networks, but while keeping their data private. And now let's touch on how do we go from your idea to shipping as fast as possible. So first thing you need to know is connecting to the network. So the most obvious connections to the network are our wallets. So as I mentioned at the beginning, you have your application, you have to connect with your wallet in order for you to process transactions to the network and make those updates. After this call, I'll share these slides with you because every single blue kind of that you see here is a link that you can follow. So you'll see for each one of these, we have like Lace, 1AM, Giro. If you click on those, you'll be directed directly to the website for these wallets. So you can download them, get started immediately. And that's going to be the case with the rest of the slides on this presentation. As you're going through it, you can click on each link, get the resources you need, and get off to the races as fast as possible. So we have Lace, 1AM, and Giro. I just want to highlight Giro because this is our newest wallet. I think we've added support within the past 2 weeks. So if you're testing wallets, you want to get into experimenting with it, I highly encourage you to check out Giro and to provide feedback to our team and our partner as well, since they are the newest partners in our ecosystem. So we have these 3 wallets if you want to try something out of the box, get it running, and start testing. But then we have the wallet SDK if you want to do something a little bit more complicated. There are some people who build applications that don't actively require users to sign on to a wallet. Sometimes they're either generating things on their side, or they're using passkeys or different unique ways to generate the same types of wallets that you need to interact with these networks. So if you want to build your own custom solution, we do have a wallet SDK that you can get involved in. You can see all of our repos are open source, so you can see all the code, you can contribute to it, you can open up issues, open up your own PRs if you have something you want to contribute. But your wallet SDK is if you maybe don't like the experience or you want to create a custom experience for your users, you can look at our wallet SDK there. Now, as you're building, I want to emphasize, look for the undeployed network. You're going to see 3 networks frequently spoken about within our docs. Undeployed is basically running everything locally on your computer. So you're spinning up a kind of copy of the network, your own version of it locally, so that you can run tests and simulate what this experience would be like without an internet connection, without all the setup that you need online. Once you've gone past that, you can go into preview and pre-prod, which are test environments. But I highly encourage you to stick to undeployed because these test networks, they introduce a lot more complexity. When if you're just trying to get your MVP done, you want to show it to someone, get the concept across, you can do all of that with undeployed without waiting for network syncs, without having to deal with faucets and all these issues. You can build right away. So highly encourage you to go to undeployed network and take a look at these 2 links at the bottom, running a local network and the Midnight local dev. That'll get you started right away on how to set up your local network. Now, you have your wallets to interact with your dApp, but let's get to your coding and how can you ship code as fast as possible. So we have an AI toolkit that we've provided, we've worked on internally and with a ton of different partners. So the first one I want to emphasize is Kappa. If you go to our docs right now, and actually, let me see if I can share this here. Yeah, it looks like I can share. So Did it switch? I don't think it did switch here. Okay. Wasn't as smooth of a handoff as I thought, but I'll click back. So if you go to our docs, you'll notice that we have this article here on how to set up everything that you need for Kappa MCP, for our Midnight Expert, and our other AI skills that we've enabled for you. But if you look at our docs, we have this AI search here, and it's powered by Kappa. So you can ask anyone anything like, how does Dust work? And then it'll crawl through our docs, get the best resources, and convey that information to you. But the reason why I want to highlight this is because if you're using an agent to code some sort of AI platform, you could actually connect directly to the MCP server so that instead of going back and forth between your editor and our docs, you can get all of this data directly into your editor. And you can do that by setting up the Kappa MCP server. Let me make sure I'm still sharing my presentation. Okay,
Yeah, you're sharing.
back.
Yep.
Nice. So Kappa is where you go to find the answers for your questions. You want to know how Dust works, or how a particular SDK works, or a particular function. You want to use Kappa, and you want to install Kappa by following the instructions here. So that'll give you direct answers from our docs. Now, once you have your questions answered and you want to start building, then I encourage you to take a look at Midnight Expert. So Midnight Expert is a ton of different tools that we put together for you to start coding, for you to compile your contracts, for you to even check, do my contracts compile? Can I verify them? Can I ship them on a network? There's all these different skills that you can use to write your code, to deploy, to reference different examples. So I highly encourage you to take a look at this. And just so you know kind of how much work has been put into this, I can tell right away if someone used an AI product or platform that didn't go through Midnight Expert, because there's not a lot of content out there on Compact, our programming language, on some of our SDKs, and a lot of the third-party models like let's say a ChatGPT or something like that, it tends to get our programming language wrong. So if you try to go off and do your own thing without using the resources, we can tell fairly easily, pretty quickly. So we highly encourage you to check out our skills, because we've done all the legwork for you, understood kind of what works, what doesn't, what the AI models need to understand. So I highly encourage you to check out Midnight Expert. And lastly, this one is actually from our community, and we love to highlight different tools from our community. So this came out of a team that we met maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and they're called MidSkills. And they provided this repository of a bunch of different skills that they've worked with the community. You can sign up to it, see other community members there, and onboard to their platform as well. So I always encourage people to check out our community projects, what people are working on developing. So there may be something that comes out of this build-a-thon that is featured in future hackathons. So if you're working on something cool, definitely share it with us. We want to know, even if you're not necessarily a winner, but you've created a cool tool, definitely reach out to us. We want to amplify your work, whether you're a winner or not. So I highly encourage you to reach out to us. Let us know what you're working on. And as you can see here, MidSkills came out from the community, and now we are supporting them and helping them try to grow. If you want, we also have previously worked on workshops for each of these things. So you can see the last workshops we worked on, where we went over Kappa, how to set it up, kind of step-by-step workshop, how to set up Midnight Expert, and how to deploy your first program there. So you can watch a workshop here on using our AI toolkits. And while you're working through it, one thing I want to emphasize is reference this compatibility matrix at the bottom. This will give you all the details you need. So now I heard someone unmute, so let's see. I think we're all good still to continue?
Yeah, I think we're good to go. Yep.
Okay, cool. So that's our AI toolkit, and now let's get into our resources. So let's see. Let me stop sharing this one. So we have a ton of different resources that we make available to all of our developers, but the first thing is our developer hub. If you have not seen our developer hub, I encourage you to take a look. So I'm sharing between tabs, but I think that may require the studio to update that in the back.
All good. All good.
Cool. So Yeah, so if you haven't already, I highly encourage you to take a look at a developer hub. That's where we contain all of our resources, everything you need to know as a developer, from our academy, our elite program, all the different opportunities you have as a builder, as a creator to get involved in the Midnight community.
Jay, are
Next
you
we
sharing
have,
now or nothing but a screen share?
yeah, I'm sharing that tab.
Sorry, probably I'm not seeing it.
Let's see. Okay, so maybe instead of clicking through the resources, I'll just focus on the presentation if that works better.
Yeah.
Okay, I started sharing the presentation again. Let me know if that comes up.
Let's see if it comes up. Give it a sec, everybody. Let's just wait to see if it comes up. No, nothing's coming up. Maybe try again.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stop and I'll reshare. I think this should be good.
All right, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll stop clicking in between them. But all of these resources, like I mentioned earlier, they'll be available to you immediately after. So let's go to, so we went to Developer Hub. Now let's go over getting started. This is a quick start on how to get started with our language. You create a hello world, you deploy it, so it gives you step-by-step instructions, and this is available in our docs. So if you just go to our docs, then you can go onto the getting started section, and that's what this is referencing. Now, as you're building your applications, you build something cool, you can make it available to the rest of the community on Awesome dApps repo. So it's a repo with a ton of different dApps on, AI, healthcare, all the different verticals we cover, and you can see what other people in the community are working on. So it's a good place for you to get ideas, for you to draw inspiration, and to get a sense of what you want to build. Now, if you're looking for explicit ideas, we actually have a kind of GitHub project specific to dApp ideas. So our product managers, people in the community, they'll post different ideas. So if you don't know where to start, maybe you're overwhelmed by all the information that is coming to you, check out that dApp ideas. It'll give you some ideas on where to start, what people are thinking about, what they're talking about. And then you can always check out our Midnight YouTube. I'll actually be streaming later today for our Dev Hangouts. We do it every Wednesday, so you can see our live streams there. But there's also a ton of different educational resources that you can review, even explainers of like blockchain 101, things like that. And now let's get to building on Midnight.
I want us to also add that one of our elites, which is our basically ambassadors that are more technical, he, within the Akindo actual buildathon, you'll see a link to one of his dApps that he helped build inside Midnight, and I think this will help a lot of the new users understand, basically being able to take a dApp full end itself. He's also shown his GitHub repository as well, so that should help a lot of the guys that if you're stuck, take a look at the link that's inside the Akindo link. That's also another great resource as well. Go ahead, Jay, back to you.
Amazing. I can grab that after you and just add it to these slides as well and make that resource available. So I can do that after. Cool. All right, so that's our resources. Now let's go into building on Midnight. So I know I told you the quickest way is to download a wallet, download our AI tools, get started, but it is super important that you actually understand what's going on under the hood. So to touch on that, I want to go a brief crash course on kind of Compact, the things you'll need to understand, and what you'll see as you're programming with our language. So this is Compact in one line. The way I look at it is you have these different components that are in most of your smart contracts that you'll be writing that you have to be aware of. You have to pay attention how these things work. So I wanted to cover this so that even if you're using an AI model, you can actually look at your code, understand what's going on, understand if it's doing what you're intending it to do, or if it's going off and doing something else. So, of course, as I mentioned at the beginning, our private data is private by default on our network, right? It stays locally on your device. So when you're writing your programs, you have to determine, okay, what fact am I revealing about that private data? What are the things I have to verify before I enable them to process a transaction, before I validate their information? How do I check for these things? And then what am I actually publishing on the ledger? Because the ledger is what's going to be public, our source of truth, and what people can see, right? So it's important that you understand these keywords here. So first, your secret, this is going to sit in a file called witnesses.ts. So this is where your user is going to provide their local data, right? And it's sitting in that file. Now, once you look into your contracts, what you're doing is you're pulling in that private data, and then you're passing it over to your programs, your compact programs, with a witness function. So you'll see these keywords within your compact contracts here. They're highlighted in blue. And your witness is basically saying, all right, this is private data supplied by the user. So I want to make sure that the programmer is aware that this is sensitive data. And the way we've done it is we separated how this works into the two separate files. So you have your witness file, and some of that data gets pulled into your compact contracts. But then you're just calling the proofs, right? So you're just checking, like, is this person over a certain age? Yes or no. That's the only thing that that witness function is calling. So these witness functions could be called by your circuits whenever they want to, let's say, pull in one of those facts, take that piece of data from your personal information, and then use it to basically validate your information to process a transaction. Those programs that you write are going to be called circuits. So think of it as like your main methods or functions you're writing, they'll be called circuits, and you actually use these keywords in them. So they run locally, they generate your proofs that you need for the network, they package them, and they prepare them for the network. Now, within your proofs, within your circuits, you'll have these two keywords that come up all the time, almost on every circuit, which is assert and disclose. So assert is the piece of information that you have to validate before you continue with that transaction or that process. So you'll typically see things like, I want to assert that the user is over a certain age. So we want to make sure that they're, let's say, over 21. We want to assert that. Is that true or false? Yes or no? And that's what we're kind of checking with these asserts. Is this information true or false? Is there a match? These kind of things before we allow them to continue. Another one we typically see is like, let's say I own an NFT. We want to make sure that before that NFT is transferred between accounts, that the person transferring it has the authority to actually transfer it. So in this case, we want to assert that the wallet address is the actual owner that we are dealing with. So you'll frequently see these asserts within your programming language. And then lastly, you'll see disclose, which is the keyword that you'll need to use in order to tell your program, hey, this piece of information is going to go public, and I am going to post that on the ledger, which will be available to everyone else. So if you don't use disclose within your program and you're dealing with private data like your witnesses, or let's say you're dealing with key information that you don't want to reveal about the person that's tied to their wallet, like let's say their public address if they want to have a shielded transaction. So you want to make sure that when you're disclosing, you're only disclosing information at the very end, after you've already done your hashing, after you've already kind of hidden your user's data, after you've already taken the security measures that you need so that you're not revealing their core underlying data. You want to disclose at the very end, which is usually a combination of different data points of have hashes together, and that gets posted to the ledger rather than the core underlying data. So you'll see this in all of our example repos. You'll see this kind of structure where we're pulling in some sort of witness. It's getting run through a circuits. There's asserts to validate, like, hey, can this user actually do what we want them to do? And then disclose is the piece of information that goes public out of this entire program. And that gets posted onto the ledger. So it's important for you to understand these key pieces, but if you want to go deeper to understand the kind of little functions that you can use, let's say like our hashing algorithms, things like that, we have like 4 different ones you can check out. You can take a look at this language reference down here, and it'll give you all the details you need, all the keywords on our programming language. So once you have your program, you're starting to tinker with it, you're starting to see, all right, does it actually do what I say it does? Does it keep the user's data private? Things like that. I want you to be aware of these kind of keywords to understand what's going on in your program. And then in order for you to actually make updates to the network, you also always have to have 3 services running. So in this case, for this buildathon, we're focusing on undeployed, and you can see the endpoint references here. So you'll need the 3 different things: how to interact with the node, the indexer, which allows you to read data from the chain, and then the proof server, which is kind of providing over those facts, right, about yourself without revealing the underlying data. It's kind of taking your inputs, packaging the proofs, and preparing it for the network. One thing I want to emphasize here with a proof server is that we encourage everyone to run these proof servers locally so that you're not passing over that private sensitive data to a third party. You can still set this up where maybe there's one organization that's doing the proving, another organization is kind of managing the application, but we don't really recommend that because it requires you to trust that other provider, for your users to trust that other provider. So we usually tell people to do this undeployed for you to run your own proof server. And if you want, let's say, a central system for this proof server, that you should run your own virtual machine that supports this proof server. And then all of, let's say, the transactions that are coming from the mobile devices, the desktops that are interacting with your applications, they use that one proof server and then publish to the network. So you're controlling it rather than giving it over to a third party and may potentially risk giving up sensitive data. So really take some time to understand this proof server piece, how this works, what are the implications here, and how to set this up locally. As I mentioned, we have starter kits, we have templates, we have a lot of things that have this out of the box, but it's important to understand this piece of the programming language, the network, and how to deploy. All right, and now we've covered what is Midnight, the basic concepts of privacy, keeping your data locally, about generating proofs of your data, and that enabling you to transact on our network and acting as a guard. But we, as I mentioned, want to be the privacy layer for all of Web3. So we have the programming language, we have the contracts working, deploying on all these networks, but our goal is to be multi-chain. And to walk into this multi-chain future, we've created this framework called Effect Stream. Now, what Effect Stream does is it tries to figure out what's the common data points and common data structures amongst all the different blockchains available, and creates this kind of like standalone network that manages communications between all of these other networks. So as you can see, we have templates here for Night and Bitcoin, EVM and Midnight, and these templates will allow you to do something like, let's say, check if a user has an NFT or a certain activity on EVM, but then process data privately on Midnight. So one example I've seen recently is we have one of our elite members. He's working on a Solana template for this. And what he's doing is saying, hey, I want people to interact with Solana and process a transaction, but only if they're a member of my group. And I'm checking if they're a member of my group by checking their data on Midnight. So that data stays private. I'm just checking, is this person a member of our group because maybe they have a shielded NFT? If they are, then I'm allowing them to transact within our community on Solana within this private group. So that's cool. Different example that I've seen recently come up over the past week. But Effect Stream provides all the tooling so that you can run about 3 commands and start building multi-chain applications that work with Midnight, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Cardano, Solana, and a ton more. So if you are interested in multi-chain applications, you want to create something that interacts with several different networks, I highly encourage you to check out Effect Stream. We also have this workshop at the bottom from one of the creators, the person that's on the team working on Effect Stream. So you can watch him go over it, go through the example of the EVM and Midnight one, show deploying NFTs on Ethereum while giving them private data on Midnight. So you can take a look at that workshop, and the video is available there for you to see it. Now, how do we support our builders? We're getting towards the end of this. So we have our Midnight Discord that you can always check out. We have a really active community, particularly in the dev chat. You could always ask for help from the community. I'll be in there. Our product manager, Nick, he's always in there answering questions. And we have dedicated community members to answer your questions there. So if you have any questions, you want to even brainstorm ideas, understand how this works from the community, hop in our Discord and start talking to people in our dev chat. Now, if you have something more formal that you want to raise to our team, there's always the Midnight Forum that'll grab our attention from the DevRel side, and we'll answer your questions on there. Then if you want to get deeper into this and you want to really understand the complexities of Midnight, we have an entire academy here that you can go through. We have courses, a certification where you get a certificate at the end of this for understanding blockchain 101, for understanding our core concepts and primitives. And it's a great opportunity to show off, to say, hey, I fully understand Midnight, how to actually deploy things on it, and here's my proof. Now, if you want something more gamified, a more fun experience, we have these Zeely quests, and we'll be kicking one off later today with one of our partners, where you get to test out their products, their services, provide some feedback, and see what the newest and greatest tools are available on Midnight. So that's more of a gamified platform for you to earn all these different points and rewards for you participating. So take a look at that if you want a little bit of a more fun learning experience. And now the next three are programs and opportunities for you after this build-a-thon. So first is Elite. If you are a technical person, you write good code, and you want to share Midnight with the greater world, you want to show people how to build yourself. Maybe you want to host workshops and you want to teach people about Midnight. Elite is a great opportunity where we have our kind of fellowship. People are creating content, helping others with their coding projects. We are funding their workshops, their events, whichever country they're in. So it's a good opportunity for you to kind of prove that you know Midnight to other people, but then start teaching and get these opportunities for you to share that information with other people. And next we have our programs for entrepreneurs and company builders. If you're interested in building a business and your focus is how do I make money on Midnight, we want to talk to you because it's a great opportunity for us and for you. So we have Build Club, which is there for us to ideate together, for us to take your idea, refine it into an MVP, understand your business and marketing strategies, and work with you on getting it to market. So that's about taking your ideas on pen on paper and getting them to deployment. And at the end of this 8-week program, we actually put you in front of our investors, some of the biggest people within the Web3 space, including Charles Hoskinson. So it's a good opportunity for you to go from MVP to idea to deploying to getting in front of some of the biggest investors in the world. So it's an awesome opportunity. And whoever wins out of this build-a-thon will actually, from each one of the different waves and systems, they'll be encouraged to apply to the program. But the people who are top performers, you get automatic entry. So we'll definitely kind of work with you on that. And I heard someone unmute. So would you like to say something?
I just wanted to add, I think that's the goal. I think that I definitely have for the audience that's here today. I think if you're technical, the Elite's absolutely amazing. I think we've seen some great contribution in Japan as well. But I just want to encourage the founder mindset here of the guys that are coming into here. Just to give you a little bit of context here, some of my friends have actually joined the Builds Club as well. And these guys are the individuals that didn't come from a technical background, but now with the advancement of AI as well as the MCP that we have right now with Midnight, they've been able to formulate their business or their thoughts and being able to come up at least with some kind of MVP in itself. So I think it's a great opportunity. Everybody on this call is going to be way more technical than my friend that came into the Build Club. But that being said, I hope that gives you guys a little bit more encouragement that, hey, look, that our structure and the system that we have right now, this build-a-thon is really an ability for us to be able to funnel like-minded people, really forward-thinking people that have a technical edge to be able to come and build together with us. And that's, I think, the vision that Charles ultimately has for all of us to be able to do it. So we're really excited for you guys to be able to move into the Build Club or the Night Sky Accelerator post this build-a-thon.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that's really important to highlight. I speak about it in hackathons and these kind of events all the time, that you don't really have to be technical anymore. There's so many different tools and there's so many great opportunities for you to contribute if you are someone who understands products really well, if you understand project management really well. I mean, hackathons are notorious for, scope creep and people building these massive projects and then not being able to submit, the last day or not getting the core features working. So I think everyone has an opportunity to contribute. I think you'll be surprised how fast people can ship. I've spoken to non-tech developers and they send me like a landing page and I'm like, hey, check out our tools because I think you'll be surprised how fast you can ship. And then a couple hours later, they're like, hey, check out the dApp I deployed. So I highly encourage you to look at our tools. Even if you're not technical, I think you'll get a lot further than you imagine. So that's my point on Build Club. But on Night Sky, that is our accelerator if you have a business, if you're generating revenue. And that is the long-term path that we would like for you all, right? Is to get you from the build-a-thon to creating these applications, to getting them in front of users, to focusing on your business, your marketing with Build Club. And then once you get some traction, once you're getting users, once you're starting to generate revenue, we want to help you accelerate that growth with Night Sky. And there we have opportunities with our kind of ecosystem to potentially write checks to these teams to help you grow. So we have a building path for entrepreneurs, and we highly encourage you that if you have that mindset to reach out, we would like to personally talk to you and see how we can get you from your idea to deploying on mainnet to getting users and generating revenue as fast as possible.
Amazing.
So that is kind of my piece for the Buildathon. I am always available online. You can see me on Discord. You'll see me on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out anytime. But now at this point, I would like to turn it over so we
Yep.
can discuss the Buildathon expectations.
Amazing. Yeah, great speech. Thank you. And maybe Taro-san, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think thank you, Jay. Amazing work here, and I'm really looking forward to, seeing what comes out of this as well. I think a little bit around you'll see inside the overall, Akindo landing page, a little bit about the rubrics with regards to how we are going to be looking at teams in itself. There is obviously a heavy weight with regard to technicals to it, but there is going to be a business plus alpha element that's going to be coming into this as well. So what we are looking to be able to do is really be able to find the right projects that are really trying to build an edge. And even if you do not have, let's just say, the business element to it, as Jay mentioned as well, we've got programs that's going to absolutely help you with mentors. That's going to be that XVC, L1 people that are in this ecosystem for us to be able to help you. And so my challenge to everybody in the audience is, challenge yourself, challenge us, come and build. As long as you build, we are going to vet that as much as the best that we can, and we are going to go and be able to say, hey, look, what is there that we can do? And remember, this is not going to be our first and final hack, and I know Jay's been doing a lot, but this is not going to be the last one. If this is maybe the first go around, there may be a second go around, reach out to me or Jay as well. There is opportunities for us to fine tune this, but my challenge today is this is a generic, very general, privacy-based build-a-thon. And so just come, blow us away, and let's see what we can build together. And I'm super excited. So with that, I am going to hand it over to Moz. If you can, I know that we've got maybe have some questions, but let me just hand it over to you for a second, and then you can we can close it off from there.
Yeah, amazing. Like, as you said, keep building. That is a cool concept of Buildathon, and looking forward to see that all. And by the way, thank you for your speech. The Jonathan, Towers, enjoying some, everything there. And thank you so much. And for the clear and practical introduction to Midnight. We heard how privacy can be part of the product or design, not only an extra feature later, and how builders can think about public verifiability, confidential data, and selective disclosure together. Now we will move into our live Q&A. Please feel free to add your questions in the chat. On the YouTube, there's a chat there, so you can add there. And we will start with questions that have already come in, and then move to newest question there from the audience. By the way, if you missed part of today's workshop, please check the Offshore Midnight and Akindo channels for updates, and also this YouTube live and or X there. It's gonna be there so that people can check later. So in the recording or following up materials, it's gonna be shared there. So yeah, don't worry. Okay, so let's move on to the first question. So we got question from the Josh Report HQ. Thank you for your question. And the question is, that's a good question for beginner builders. So how do a beginner builder get used to the tools on Midnight? And are these tools user-friendly and open source? Maybe Jonathan or Tom?
Yeah, sure, I can hop in here. So all of our main repos are open source. So from our wallet SDK, from the nodes to the ledger, all of it's open source. You can open up issues, make your own PRs, even our docs as well. You see something that you think needs improving, you could always open up a PR. So all of our docs and resources are public and available. You can start contributing right away, even immediately after this call. And to get started, we definitely are interested in hearing your feedback on our tooling, but I would say the quickest way, as I mentioned, is kind of go download a wallet, get that set up, start working with that, and then I think download Midnight Expert. look into the information on how to install that, the website link that I have there in the slides. Reference that. With a wallet and Midnight Expert, you can have a basic dApp running in about 30 minutes, a little under 30 minutes. In the workshop, I had one running in the background when I was doing kind of the AI tooling workshop, and it took me to have a working dApp, like 22 minutes, rendering kind of in the background while I was giving the presentation. So that's, I think, your fastest way to get started.
Amazing. Thank you for your answer. The Buildathon is not only for professional builder. Like anyone can join with even like vibe coding as well. So yeah, it's great to know. So the next question will be will be from Wu Ramio. Thank you for your question. And the question is, the page needs to be private, like VTC. How we can make it? That's what I don't like about blockchain, because you can get where the payments come from. Okay. Yeah. So there's a question.
I think you meant.
Maybe I just yeah. It was just
I was just,
yeah. I
yeah,
think it just like. Hmm?
I was just saying. I think it's talking about how to keep like Bitcoin transactions private. I believe, right?
Yeah, that's the way I took it. That's the way I took it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think one thing that's important to emphasize here is that if something is settling on another network, you can't make that settlement private, right? Because things like Ethereum, Bitcoin, like the way they publish their data is public, and you can't change the way that network is publishing its data. What you can do is you can put these guardrails on Midnight where we're checking if you qualify to engage in this transaction before you engage in that transaction. So that's one opportunity. There are opportunities for you to swap, but what this requires, essentially, if you wanted to say, let's say, have a Bitcoin transaction that is fully private, is you would essentially have to have the token available on our network, but then you would have to have a shielded version of it, which will involve some sort of like minting and kind of locking and minting mechanism that you would have to build on your own, because our network is fairly early. We're not, we still are discussing like all of our standards. You can get involved in that as well, by the way. They're called MIPS, and you can find our repo on that. But since we're all creating our standards, and even our partners, they're starting to create a lot of these things for the first time. We haven't even had a partner create that kind of like wrapping experience where you're taking a unshielded asset, you're wrapping it to be a shielded asset. But in theory, if you're willing to do this kind of work, the way I would build this out, assuming I have more than a hackathon, I would basically try to figure out how do I either get these assets over to the network, then wrap them into a shielded version, and then do a transaction, which, by the way, is a massive hackathon project. So I don't encourage you to take on that challenge. If you want to, go for it. But be considerate of how much time you actually have to work on these projects. And that is a kind of project that is usually an ecosystem partner would take on, is a kind of big contract for some companies. So knowing how much is involved in taking on that problem, I would say for the time being, if you want to interact with Bitcoin, check out EffectStream and see what you can do with that template that we have available there. But as far as you having a completely shielded Bitcoin transaction, that is just not possible at the current moment. You would have to do a lot of technical legwork in order for you to get to that stage.
Great. Yeah, solid answer. Thank you so the great answering there. Oh, the next one the will be from Joseph Omotard, age 64. There's two questions in a row. So what kind of ideas do you look for, and does it work in the background?
I'll answer the first one, and maybe Jay can answer the second one. Honestly, for us, the world's your oyster, in a sense that, hey, look, we're more than happy to field any types of ideas. Obviously, for what I've seen, and the guys that I've been talking about have multiple different use cases, coming from whether it be healthcare, supply chain, traceability, identity, agentic trading that is private, private compute. There's been a lot. And so I think there's multiple different ways to really crack it. And so we are not necessarily saying that it has to be, tokenized deposits, that's private. We're not saying that. If that comes as a use case from one of the guy from the Buildathon, great. If it's a financial use case, great. If it's a DeFi use case, great. But I want to encourage people who's my answer to this very simply is find what's a real problem. And if you see a real problem in an industry, and if you can fix it with privacy, give it a try on Midnight. And that's what I've talked to some of my friends as well, who have worked in multiple different sectors. I think Jay was talking about the healthcare industry. It's very real. You cannot use a candidate's information and put it on chain. So that's a very good use case for privacy. I've seen multiple other types of use cases, whether that be an interesting one, for example, that's not necessarily here, but I would say it was just like, look, everybody in the world right now, whenever you do, let's just say, do any kind of gaming online, you are trusting that company that whatever card, whatever number that they spit out of their platform is true. Oh, is the next number really the right number, or is that lottery number really the real number? You never know. And then if you can use a ZK proof behind it and say, yes, ZK proof wise, we were able to prove that actually that number in fact is the next reoccurring number in itself, and the lottery is not rigged, for example, that's another use case. So there's multiple avenues here, and I will challenge you to find ways for us, because we're also in Midnight. I'll be very fair with you guys. We're also in Midnight looking for multiple different angles of finding use cases. And this is where we would love to have you guys help us uncover, oh, that's a new use case, definitely from Midnight as well. So that's the answer that I have for you. Jay, maybe about the back end, maybe if you have a question, you can answer that question there.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of things to consider on what will make your project successful. And maybe I'll try to dig up a previous workshop with our product manager that he kind of covers like the things he's looking for. But one thing is that DApp ideas board that I included in my slides. Take a look at that, because that was originally put together by our product manager speaking to investors, to other people in the industry, to try to see what are the needs. So that's where some of those ideas came from. And if you look on our website, there's a ecosystem tab, which also has a ton of different DApp ideas that you can pick up and work on right away. So that's where you can search for inspiration. But I do think there is something to consider about the network limitations. So one thing you should be aware of is we do not currently support contract-to-contract calls. That will be available next quarter. So with that said, if you are building something that is, let's say, like a NFT marketplace, usually that is going to have one contract that's facilitating the transactions across that marketplace. But then you'll have to deal with third-party contracts like, let's say, the NFT collection and managing that data. So if you have an application that you want to build where you realize like, hey, this contract needs to trigger this other contract, at this current time and the state of the network, you're going to hit a roadblock. And the only way to go over that roadblock is to basically wait for those advancements in the network for next quarter for that to become available. So that's something to consider, is when you're working on your DApp, try to figure out what are the current limitations, what you can actually execute on, knowing that contract-to-contract calls aren't available. So that's one thing to consider. The other thing to consider are the opportunities, right? So we're a brand new network. We have mainnets. The challenges here are going to be things like liquidity, activity on the network, things like that. So as you're building your applications, take into consideration what are the things that the ecosystem needs, the community needs. Maybe see what people are talking about within our general chat, because that'll give you ideas of what's top of mind for them. And that is a potential customer, right? Like they have a problem, they're talking about it, they're in the community and looking for a solution. So that's another good way. Talk to people within our community. They've thought about a lot of these ideas. Some of them worked on it. Some of them would be willing to share private code bases that they're like, hey, I tinkered with this idea before. Check this out. I think you'd be surprised how open and communicative our community is. So yeah, I would say take a look at the current network limitations on what you can build. That'll guide you a little bit better. And to kind of touch on what Tara was mentioning, is one clear thing here is that it doesn't have to be a financial transaction, right? One of the core offerings is that we separate your financial data from your private data. So think about things like, let's say, dating apps, right? this concept of matching two people not only applies to dating apps, it applies to networking events, it applies to jobs looking for employees, right? In typical programming, these are matching algorithms. But now this takes on a different kind of experience when you're talking about a lot of your core data being private and you revealing facts about yourself. So that's a great opportunity, like matching algorithms on Midnight that are based on private data. That applies to AI agents, applies to dating websites, it applies to, like I said, networking and stuff, where it won't involve a financial transaction, but it may involve you kind of revealing something sensitive about yourself, right? Or like a particular fact, like maybe I don't want to reveal my age, and maybe I don't want people to know how old I am, right? Like super simple, basic things like that don't get published on these networks. So consider that it doesn't actually have to, involve a financial transaction. But yeah, I feel like I ranted on a bit, but I love talking about Midnight. So, any of these
That's
ideas
good,
and
man.
stuff,
It's
I
all
love
good,
these
man.
brainstorming.
We could keep going for hours. We can keep going for hours. That's good.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so but we have another one, so we can still talk more. So the next one, the guy asked, are there any the person from the Ampli protocol? The person asked, are there any user-friendly wallet options where a user could be a normie? And actually, I found one more question related to wallet. It, the at the end, like Jia June 0220, he asked, I'm not sure that one, but will MetaMask support Midnight in the near future? So yeah, 02 question.
I'll always defer to you, Taro, if you want to take it away. If not, I can always rant.
I'll leave that to you. I don't know the answers to some of that, so I'll leave it to you.
All right, cool. So on wallets, we are a foundation, so we try to expose all of our partners, all of the options that are available. So the main wallets that you can check out, start messing around with now, they're on that slide. Those are all of our ecosystem partners, that slide that I mentioned. Go through the experience. Let us know what you think is the best user experience. I have my own personal thoughts, but I'll leave that to see. Like, I don't want to kind of pollute your experience and kind of, guide you towards one way. We want to understand, what does your experience look like? What is the developer experience like across these wallets, so that we can convey that to our partners so that they can make an even better user experience. So I would say, if you're looking for slides, I think all of those, if you're looking for wallets, all those on the slides work pretty well. You can download them on your extension, get started right away. So I encourage you to take a look at that. And then for your question on MetaMask, if you're not following our CTO, I encourage you to follow him, Sebastian, on Twitter, because he will post like at midnight, like, hey, I just made this new feature, check it out. And that is actually something he's recently posted about a week or two ago, where he has his own version of MetaMask, and you can kind of toggle for you to support Midnight and do transactions that involve EVM and Midnight directly in MetaMask.
Wow.
So he has a working prototype you can see on his Twitter. And he's shipping things like every few days, like new features, new tools, new templates that you can check out. So highly encourage you to look at his work, even reach out. You'd be surprised. Even though he's our CTO, he has done things where like he'll post his calendar in public and is like, hey, this meeting, I'm only, meeting with developers. Just book a meeting with me. So highly encourage you to check his stuff out. But yeah, that we already have a working prototype. It's a matter of time before it's out in the wild.
Agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's great. Yeah, actually, I'm doing like a MetaMask ambassador, so I would forward to the team for the future, and maybe they will implement. All right, so the next
Love it.
question. Yeah, thanks. The next question from the Hero Patrick. He asked what about race running a local network? Does Copper have an app? How do we get community link?
So I mentioned kind of
And
the
also,
three
sorry, one more question, where do we find the developer hub site? So that's a
Yeah.
big question.
Yeah, so I can drop it off after, but I also did provide my slides. So if you go through the slides, it'll have all the links for everything you need there. Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
What about
Sure.
Lace running a local network? Does
Okay.
it
Oh,
have
yeah,
an
yeah.
app? Yeah.
So for the wallets, I mentioned briefly during the presentation that there's 3 different networks that you'll look to once you're writing your code, you're deploying, which is undeployed, preview, and pre-prod. You'll see that in all the wallets that you're using. So what you want to do when you're building locally is you want to go into your wallet settings. You want to change your network to undeployed, and then that'll allow you to communicate with your local proof server and also your local network. So that's how you would configure your wallets, basically, so that you can communicate with your local network. It's basically like 2 or 3 clicks you do on each of the wallets, basically.
I think there's another question that's coming in. I can answer this. I have a few protocols I want to build out in parallel. Is it possible to work multiple projects during this build-a-thon? I tried a schedule session to help me choose, but they weren't available. Like it's up to you. Like I know people have multiple different types of projects they want to take part in. It's really up to you. Where you want to prioritize, where you want to prioritize. We're not saying, hey, just build on Midnight. We don't believe that. As you can see as well, we're looking to go multi-chain as well. So I think an experienced developer working somewhere else that ultimately builds with Midnight, it's a good thing for us is the way I see it. So yes, I say why not.
Yeah, great. And there's several other questions. The other one, like I said, are you going to show at the end of September? I mean, no, this is
Tita
possible
Granny,
as well.
yes, I will be in Seoul. So I'm more
Amazing.
than happy for you to hit me up. You can find me on my X. You can find me on my LinkedIn, and we're happy to have chat there. We will be on ground in Korea with some of our teams. Not anybody technical, but yes, I'm happy to pick up any conversations you have locally in Korea. I will be locally on ground.
Yeah, amazing. And there's one more following up question that from Ample Protocol. The guy asked, the main question is, because it's related question before, the main question is, can you have embedded wallets or Google Style for the
Oh,
basically
what was
like
the
before
last one,
the
or what?
so the last one was like the wallet, the for the normies. That was the question, but this question is like can you have embedded wallets or Google Oath type? Yeah, so
Google
related
authentication
wallet,
style.
right?
Yeah, so you definitely can. And I would say if you want to take a look at, I guess, an example, well, this is passkeys. Passkeys on Jiro is already supported, but we have seen other builders kind of build their own solutions using the wallet SDK, as I mentioned. So you can definitely build something like that. But I haven't seen too many projects do it. I've seen maybe a handful of people. I think most people are trying to wrap their hand around the basics, and they usually don't get to that. If your mindset is already focusing on that, then that's a great opportunity.
Amazing. And we had one more last question, and actually I can answer this because about Buildathon. So the question is, can you enter one wave or all of them? So the answer is that you can enter for only one wave or all of them. I recommend people to join all of them, and because the concept is keep building. So people who join the first wave can join the second and third. That is the core feature and the core value of the Buildathon. So this is why, if you want to join all, that's amazing. And if you join one, it's also good. So, keep building and keep trying. Right. So, yeah,
There's
I think that's
another
all.
question.
Yeah,
Somebody who
great.
definitely knows Midnight, Mr. Johnny Five I knows Midnight for sure. He's asking, Midnight Passport, is it ready to leverage for testing? Jay, do you know anything around Midnight Passport being able to be used somewhere around here?
So we do have a public repo for Midnight Passport. Give me one sec to pull it up, but you can see all the progress there. Like I mentioned, all of our projects are open source. You can see all the code. I'm actually familiar with Johnny. I'm surprised he's asking. I feel like he's monitoring all of our repos, and I'm surprised he hasn't picked it up by himself. But let me see. I'll pull this up.
On the spot, Johnny. On the spot.
Yeah, he's super active in our community, so I know exactly who he is. But we have this repo here that I know it has a lot of discussions, a lot of back and forth. So we even have our discussions out in the public, so you can see like what our thinking process is behind a feature about implementation, particularly in MIPS. If you look at our MIPS, you can see like people going back and forth on data structures and these weird architecture conversations. But all of our conversations are public, so you can take a look at it. And that's I'm not sure if this chat links out to everyone exactly where it posts, but I just posted this in this chat here on the side. But that's the repo you want to monitor.
I will show it on the chat.
Awesome. All right. Did we lose Moz? The first wave is all about Ideathon, or do we need to produce a function build on wave 1? I think if you look at, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, for us, the key here is the fact that for any projects to be able to be considered within that technical vetting piece is the fact that is your contract, are you able to compile? That is going to be a key factor for us, I believe. Jay, you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, so that is a make or break for a lot of projects. Is in order for us to feel comfortable awarding people about, highlighting your projects and everything, we need to have working code that is good enough to share with other people, right? Because on our side of the business, we're trying to teach people the language, show good examples, show off your work. So that is one of the core requirements for all of our hackathons, buildathons, all of these types of engagements is your contracts need to compile. If they don't compile, we don't consider them for any sort of reward or even further reviews, if I'm being completely honest, because there's a ton of different people that are involved in the same programs that have working code, and some of them are overly complex. Some of them I study myself for like an hour or something afterwards to see how they did a particular thing. So yeah, that's kind of my feedback.
Okay.
Hi guys.
The last question we have is when does team formation start? Moz, you maybe want to just feel that?
Yeah.
When does
the
team formation start?
question. When
very
does
last
team
question.
formation start? Actually, anytime. So it's already you can have a team formation. You can have a team. So it's also there's a feature to try if people want to invite people to your team. So on a Kindle, actually there's a feature to invite. So and also you can ask in the group, like Discord or Telegram or anywhere. So you can try to make a team. So and so that's why I can say it's already started.
Awesome.
Right. So I think that's all for today.
So yeah.
Amazing. We saw a lot of questions that shows people are exciting for starting this the Midnight Buildathon. So now we are coming to the end of today's online workshop. Before we close, Jonathan, Taro-san, and Junior-san, could each of you share one final message or some message for the builders?
I'll close the end. So Jay, maybe Jay, Junior, and then I'll do the end.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I encourage you all to be as creative as possible. Talk to the different community members. Like I mentioned, there's tons of people from different backgrounds, from lawyers, healthcare, AI specialists. We have everyone in our community. Take advantage. That's the point of being a part of a community. People have code snippets you may be able to use. It may be open to offering you code reviews. So be open to all of it. Build out. And one other thing I want to highlight is because of privacy, a lot of applications tend to be dark and use these words like dark or veil and stuff. I've done a year's worth of hackathons at this point. I've seen 1 million applications that fairly look similar. So I also encourage you that make it look nice for your particular use case. Don't make it look all black and dark and have all the same themes and motifs. I really want to encourage you that because I've seen more of our leadership kind of comment on it, and there's a lot of opportunity for creativity for cool looking apps, especially if you're exploring things like I mentioned, the dating stuff and all this. Make it look cool, make it look fun and relevant to your project.
Cyberpunk, man. Go cyberpunk. Junior-san, anything? I can't hear you. Can you guys hear Junior?
Okay, yeah. Thank you for joining us today, and I'm looking forward to seeing your products. So if you are currently working on a product or MVP. So please feel free to submit it to Buildathon. So I believe it's a great opportunity to get feedback from our Midnight team. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. I think I'm just gonna say the same as what Jay's saying, Junior's saying as well. Reach out. There's a lot of people who've come to these to us through different types of hackathons and been working together with us. So if you're stuck, there's a lot of people going to help you. And so with that, I'll just say closing. I know I got to be careful with my language. I'll just say LFG, man. LFG. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So thank you guys. Thank you everybody. We look forward to seeing your submissions and LFG. Let's do this. Thank you guys all. Have a good day.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank
Thank
you
you
all.
guys.
Thanks.
Yep.